Hello, this is Orange Cat, and this is my analysis of Toonami's ratings for December 1st, 2018. To put broadly, it was a pretty good night for the block. Let me start with the beginning at Dragon Ball Z Kai. It had a .16, which, again, is not like amazing numbers, but considering what it has been getting at the 9 o'clock slot, it's an improvement. So, not horrible. And then My Hero Academia, arguably the only real downslide side of the night, going down a little to a .13. And I've already mentioned multiple times about my opinions about its role in the scheduling and why I think that needs to change. It needs to be moved later in the schedule. The Naruto Boruto Power Hour bounced back a bit to .15 each, which, oh, of course, like I said, is an improvement, but at the same time, really, I think for it to really justify having that 10 to 11 o'clock hour needs to do better than this. I think .18 is kind of the threshold it needs to have. And that will play more into my opinion about what they should do to the schedule in the near future, which I'll go to in a minute. Mob Psycho 100 also did well, went up .02 to a .17, not bad. Might be the best it's done in this slot since it's premiered at 11:30. Not sure. And to go back to 11 o'clock with Dragon Ball Z Super, went up more, went to .27, the highest ratings in I think 3 or 4 weeks for that show. Doing pretty well, rounding up to a .3 again. I think whenever Dragon Ball Super, rounds up to a .3, if you're going by tenths, it was a good date for the show. It was a good night for the show. And like I said, Dragon Ball had a good night. Those like these other shows. He had an Attack on Titan rerun, steady to .16, which is gonna be interesting because I'm gonna analyze this a bit more when I talk about the next week's schedule here in a moment. You have JoJo doing well, .15. Like, especially when you compare it to the shows around it, you wonder why is it doing better? But JoJo only a few weeks ago was barely staying at above a .10. It's just good to have it hit a threshold right here and look to be very steady at this threshold, which I think is good news overall for Diamond is Unbreakable. And then here's the interesting part of the night, for my opinion. Black Clover up to a .18. This makes it the second highest rated show on the block list this Saturday night. So Black Clover, a show that's taken a lot of flack in the past for a bunch of reasons I do not want to go into, which I generally don't really agree with. Like, I think it's an okay show. I don't love it. I think it's a very okay show, and it's definitely justifying justifying its existence on the block at a .18. And you have Hunter x Hunter really following suit very well for .17. Like, these two shows had amazing nights, especially considering that they're 1 and 1:30 in the morning. And then with the halo effect from those two shows, you had Fully Coolly Alternative going up to .15. Although maybe it got helped a little since it was the finale of Fully Coolly Alternative again, which was a very well received show, which was a very well received overall product, especially when you compare it to Progressive. Yeah, Pop Team Epic getting to a .13, which I think is interesting considering it's generally been seen as a show in the past that's knocked down ratings. And this week it doesn't appear to have had that effect. Albeit it's a rerun, it's late at night, weird stuff tends to happen in Toonami late at night in terms of ratings. And they have Lupin the Third up 600 to a .12, very good considering last week it was below a .1. And then the same with Samurai Jack going up .4 to a .11. And I think that's supposed to be 290,000 or 209,000, not 29,000. That'd be a very weird number, very low number for the block if that was true. Now, back to what I would change about this. As you might know, next week is the premiere of Megalobox, which will air at midnight. Physically, I believe just replacing Attack on Titan slot. I believe, I'm not 100% sure on that, which will be interesting because this Attack on Titan, usually when a Toonami has in recent times a mid-block rerun like with something like Fully Coolly Progressive, for example, it's tended to have a role in knocking down the block's ratings or creating some type of valley effect where the early part of the night rates well, then you have this show knock it down, and then like 1 o'clock, like when you get to like Black Clover Hunter x Hunter, it starts to rebound again. It really didn't happen that way with Attack on Titan. It maintained, I'll say, very good ratings considering it's a rerun this late at night. almost doing, not maybe surpassing the ratings it was getting when those episodes aired originally at that midnight slot. So, interesting Megalobox. Admittedly, an anime a lot of people want to see and was very well received when it was announced to be on the block. I'm interested to see what numbers that will get at midnight. And the one thing to look at, like especially how have Mob Psycho 100, very similar situation. Anime a lot of people really wanted to see in the block, got put on the block. In the first week or two, it really didn't do well, but it has in the last couple weeks slowly gotten to better and better numbers. And I personally think that will be the same case with Megalobox. I think at least within 4 or 5 weeks, we'll be seeing a consistent 0.16, 0.17 or so rating from Megalobox. It might premiere a little low at like a 0.12, or not 0.12, that's too low, like a 0.14 maybe a 0.15. That's just my prediction. But now to what I would change about this rate schedule, because if you plot out the ratings throughout the night, it's really bizarre. Like it starts low, kind of increases, but it hits its zenith kind of late in the block with like 1 o'clock at Black Clover, with the exception of being that one jet peak you get with Dragon Ball Super, which, I mean, it's a ratings juggernaut for Toonami standards. Like, I don't see a time in the future while Dragon Ball Super is on the air that it's not the highest rated show on the block. But like these ratings just scream though, especially how Black Clover and Hunter x Hunter are outperforming their slot and outperforming shows above it. It just screams to push them up an hour. Like move Black Clover to like midnight, move Hunter x Hunter to like 12:30, and take advantage of the where they are in the shows. Both shows are getting to really hyped up, really generally well loved parts of the show. And I think it'd be smart for Tanami to take advantage of that. And as much as I'll probably get a lot of flack for saying I don't think the Naruto Boruto Power Hour is really shaping up well, I could see these shows being pushed late in the block, like a 1:30 late. Like it wouldn't be anything new for Naruto. I mean, Naruto spent a lot of time at 2:30 in the morning, so it's not like you can say, "Oh, this is unfair to Naruto," because it's done that. And Boruto, some can say it's new. It's new on the block. It hasn't that many episodes. It'll feel like you're throwing away a property you spent good money on to put on the block. But I mean, it's a business. You gotta put shows there that will perform well. So that's why I think late, like you should have. I would actually move Mob Psycho 100 to 10:30. Move My Hero Academia back a slot to 10 because that's when ratings really start to increase for the block. I think the 9 o'clock hour is kind of a dead hour, kind of a lead-in hour. And I think My Hero Academia has such high potential. It has too high potential to be used as more or less a de facto lead-in. I can understand Kai. Kai's a rerun. Kai's a generally liked show, I'll say. And I think it fits up well. Dragon Ball Kai is not put there to get amazing ratings. It's put there to artificially help get to the block in a way that Adult Swim needs, since Adult Swim has lost the rights to shows like Cleveland Show and King of the Hill. Like those shows used to be able to be a decent lead in for the block. And maybe what I would do is whenever you have another show go off the air, which looking at these shows, I think it's Lupin the Third is the next one to go off. Just push everything back 30 minutes and give specifically the 9 o'clock slot to Adult Swim. Air something like Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty's ratings for reruns are actually pretty amazing. I mean, you have reruns. I think I've seen them get like 5s, sometimes 6s for reruns, which is amazing to me. A show which I understand there's a massive following for, but I mean, you got to take advantage of that if you're Adult Swim. Like the block wonders what happens to the block if you did just took those 30 minutes. I'm not saying massive machete cuts to the block. Just take 30 minutes at the front. Put in Rick and Morty, have Kai at 9:30, and then have something like My Hero Academia or Mob Psycho 100 at 10 and 10:30. Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z is doing very well where its spot is at 11. Then maybe push Megaloblocks. What blocks? Megalobox up to like 11:30. Give the hour of 12 o'clock to Black Clover and Hunter x Hunter. Those shows have the potential, late in their runs to be star shows for the block. Like not just premieres towards the back of the block. These shows have potential to get point twos, which is something I think Adult Swim, William Street, Toonami needs to take advantage of. And then JoJo, which I think it can handle well being at 1 o'clock. Like it seems like I know JoJo has a massive fan base, a very cult fan base, and I'm sorry to say this, but I think I still think it's a show that can do well late in the block as a premiere. It's got that type of edge to it. And meanwhile, I would have follow that up maybe 11:30 and 2 o'clock with Naruto Boruto. I might get a lot of flack with that. Maybe move Boruto to 1:30. I mean, and have Naruto back at its old spot at 2 o'clock. That's probably the only sore spot in that lineup. But at the same time, Boruto's not your highest rated show, really by a long shot here. And then you have from 2:30 to 4 o'clock your rerun block. That's just my opinion. What do you think? Leave a comment below. If you like this content, if you want more like it, please subscribe. I am Orange Cat, and that is all.